Welcome to the Arts to Hearts podcast, a show for artists, creators, creative entrepreneurs to have heartfelt conversations about living a creative life and a career. As you go into this show, hear your favorite creators talk about money, mindset, business, creativity, and everything else that goes behind into making a life that we all adore as an artist. Hear the messy and the wonderful side of being a creative. I am your host, Charika Arora, an artist, creator, and founder of Arts to Hearts project. Thank you for joining me here. Let's jump right in. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Arts to Hearts podcast. This is season 2, and I'm your host, Charika. I'm back with another guest, a lovely friend, one of my favorite dog mothers, fur moms, fellow dog lover, amazing artist, and just such an amazing, wonderful, kind woman. I'm so glad to have her here today. Let me introduce you to Ali Williams from Philadelphia. Welcome to the podcast, Ali.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. Okay, Ali, I have been admiring all of your work. I know you're a mural artist. There's so much other things that you do, the design and the star of your life, Tula, which I am obsessed with by now. You know that. So of course I want to go into all of that. But for anyone who's listening and joining us right now, can you just talk a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you come from, what you do?
I'm Allie Williams. I'm a fine art public muralist based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I say fine art public muralist because I don't necessarily do like signage or, um, I try to really have a strong vision and artistic like feel behind my murals.
Yeah, you do big giant tulas on walls.
Yeah, I did. I did
Yeah,
paint a
I know.
giant mural.
That's my favorite work. Like absolute. I was just so mesmerized by it. So anyone who's listening, Tula is who can you do you let's also introduce Tula into this conversation because I know that's going to come up a lot. Who is Tula?
Um, Tula is the love of my life. She is she's almost 3. She's a sweet baby Great Dane. And yeah, she's just everything.
Huh.
She's just so special.
She's so adorable. So Tula's one of my so Ali and my chats are mostly about us exchanging
Dogs.
dogs, hearts about dogs and what's Tula doing, what my dogs are doing. And like we keep like I think this is and these are kind of my favorite chats. Like I know I also do that with cat and every time I ask you so many times how is Tula doing and I would ask cat also how's Colibri doing and like these are my like I truly love these chats, and and believe me, I really think about them. I don't know what what is up with me, but I so much think about them.
Hey, you are my people. You, I mean, I'm definitely with you on that.
Amazing. Okay, so Tula is your dog. Let's get
Hmm.
back into who you are. So you are Tula's mother. You're a mural fine artist. Can
Hmm.
you talk a little bit about what you do and where you're based?
Yeah, based out of Philadelphia, but I also travel for work. So the nature of my work allows me to kind of travel all over with my
Yeah.
murals, and I'm I do murals for schools, nonprofits, small corporations, small businesses, large corporations. Um, yeah, it's a mix and wide range of clients and yeah, but it's such a fun job and every project is really different.
Yeah.
So that really keeps it exciting.
Amazing. When you mentioned of clients, I was just going through your client list, and it's like you've had some of the more. quite popular ones, like, Plick Art Materials. You did this huge mural. There are a lot of art
Mhm.
queens, like, visit. I wish I'm going to do that this year, hopefully. So, you've done Marriott, and I was also, when I was going through the projects that you've done, what I really loved about was, how you've been also involved so much in projects with social causes, like,
Mhm.
you've been doing for underprivileged, you've been doing for animal trust, hospitality, like, hospitals, and
Yep.
I really love that part of your work. What is up with that? I mean, is there something that you keep an intentional, like, you have an intent about it, or they just happened?
Yeah. Well, you know what? A lot of that is, I think, because I live in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia, the city kind of is deemed or calls themselves like the mural capital of the world, just because
Yeah,
there's so many murals. And a lot of it is community-based projects with the idea that art um, is really healing and transformative, and it makes such an effort, or such a drastic change in communities. So those are the projects that are really special to me when I can work with people, and they're all different types of communities that I've worked with. You mentioned hospitals. I'm actually working with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia right now. I won't be working directly with the kids, but I have worked in hospitals before where I'm working with children.
oh, wow.
I've worked at sobriety outpatient centers, prisons. So um, yeah, all different types of people, clients, people from all different, you know, ranges of ability and skill level and age. It's art is something that I think is accessible um, to everyone, or creativity is,
Yeah,
it's really healing, and that's what makes it so special. And not that the projects that I'm working on with like NASDAQ or something isn't special to me, but
yeah,
they're just so they're it's a different kind of
yeah.
project. It feels
I
really
think just
good.
the I think just the feeling
Yeah.
that the way art can impact and your work impact someone in a, like, in a one-on-one basis, and in a, like, where you can actually see and relate to. I think that feeling is
Hmm.
also just so satisfying.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about your background, and then we'll get into how you got into murals, because
Okay.
I'm curious how being a full-time mural artist feels like. I know I've always been like, I can't wait to visit all of you and be like in Philly, and like I just see, because this vibrancy of an art scene, which is, I feel, is too grounded and just so beautiful. um, First, let's talk about your education and how art school and what you were doing there, and how that led you to being a mural artist. Because that's not one of the, like, honestly, I haven't really seen. I have seen artists doing murals, but very few, like, very few who are dedicatedly like mural artists. Because I'm
Like
sure it
mural
must be.
focus.
Yeah, because I'm sure
Yeah.
it must be, because like you said, like Philly is like a world capital for murals, and that does not happen. I just think the demand and supply of the work, probably. So I'm
Mhm.
just so curious about the work that you do and how you came here.
Yeah. Well, I went to Moore College of Art in Philadelphia. It's an all women's art college. It's actually I think maybe the
Okay.
only no the only all women's private art college. Um, so I went there. I I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was like, I'm gonna go into fashion. I was, like, I can't imagine if I took a fashion route. I mean, I definitely do not. It's like opposite of who I am. But I thought maybe I'll do illustration or graphic design. I was really thinking, what should I pursue in school that I will make sure I can get a job and find success when I'm out of here. And,
Yeah,
because that's not really talked about when you are interested in pursuing art or becoming an artist. And so that's kind of where the idea of the struggling artist comes from all the time, which is really unfair and
absolutely.
not true, right? You know. um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I ended up um, studying mostly with painting and printmaking, and I think it was my my second to last or my last year when for some reason I had more credits than I needed. I must have been I don't know what I was doing, super overachiever, I guess. But uh, I decided I would sort of create my own internship. At the
Oh,
time, that
wow.
wasn't, yeah,
Quite
at the
visionary.
time, that, well, at the time, that wasn't something that was required for a, a fine art or painting major. So, because I lived in Philadelphia and was going to school there, I mentioned murals are huge in Philadelphia. And there's also a program called the Mural Arts Program. Um, and they offer an internship, a summer internship. So I applied, I got the internship, and I was able to, use that as, some credits for my school. And I really just was so inspired. I fell in love with the idea of working on such a large scale and working with people and feeling like, you were in a community making a difference. Your work is suddenly able to be seen by everyone. And all of these people who you're working with actively participated in that process with you. So there's such a deep sense of connection and involvement. And that felt really impactful to me, versus, you know, going to art school and having professors that were really only preaching having a gallery exhibition scene,
Yeah,
um, which is which felt limiting to me at the time. And I also was seeing how people were able to make a living.
living.
So that was appealing to me. So after that internship, I loved it so much that I continued working with the mural arts program, and
Oh,
I was assisting muralists on projects. And I just remember my professors sort of turning their noses up at me and acting like this isn't real art.
oh
Um,
my goodness. Yes,
yeah.
we have to
So
get on this.
yeah.
Yes.
So I really
Okay,
struggled
one
with
quick
that.
question.
Yeah.
One quick question. Were you at that point, were you painting like in scale? Were you painting large or something? Because murals are also
Yeah.
really overwhelming, like in terms of
Yeah.
scale.
I wasn't painting huge, but when I started working um, at that internship, I my work kind of changed. I started painting really large. I started painting differently. I started using acrylic instead of oil, which is something in traditional art schools. They're like, "What is this? This is junk,"
Oh my
which is
goodness, how
not.
did you deal with
But
all of that? I'm sure, because it's so hard because those stereotypes, like, oh, um, I know even that a lot of voices when I entered into the arts, like, oh, if you're not doing like, if you're not, I still remember someone telling me, you know what, digital artists are not artists, and like, fine art is only when you're doing exhibitions and like
mhm.
such bullshit, honestly, that artists like, oh, let me tell you, for the longest while, even today, I know a few people who would just call me like a designer because I didn't come from an art school.
Stop.
Yeah, yeah. And like, it's not artist, or like, this is illustration, this is not art. And it just blew me off. I mean, I was like, I didn't come from an art school, thank God. Thank God. Because I think once those voices get into your head, no matter how much
Mhm.
forward you go, I mean, that there's even, I think it just keeps fluctuating in sound, like in volume, but they're there. I'm sure
Yeah,
you taking this path from a traditional art school where your professors and so many voices would already be like were there. How did you deal with that?
it was it was tough. I mean, yeah, and they were professors that I really admired and looked up to, and you're trusting them because
Yeah,
they're real artists, right? And
yeah, yeah,
they're working artists and they're successful and showing their work, and so you want to follow in their footsteps and trust their guidance. And so when they're
yeah.
telling you um, the opposite, yeah, it was tough. And I remember even, yeah, I still think I probably have the "I'm not a real artist"
Oh
voice in my
wow.
head
You know what?
sometimes.
We all, I feel like somewhere in the hearts of hearts, we all have that. Like, I think this
Yeah.
whole concept is just so, and I've just been saying this a lot on the podcast everywhere I do, and like, um, I just don't, I mean, I feel like, and it's completely my own perception on how I take and, you know, I feel like now I call myself a creator and even to my own self, let anything else. Because with all these definitions that been run by us for so many years, I feel like for my own sanity and for my, like, so I didn't want to put myself in a box. And I call myself as a creator or a creative because for me, creating is on the top of the funnel more than anything else. I mean, today I want to create in one form, tomorrow I want to create in another form. It does not have anything to do with if I'm an artist or not. Artist is a creator. Like we're all creators, and today whatever you're creating, if you're creating like a, even if you create illustration, even if you create fine arts, if you paint, if you make a painting or you paint a wall, it's your thoughts, it's your creativity that at the end of that, or you're creating a business up. For me, my podcast is my piece of art. I just shared this on
Hmm.
my Instagram stories today, and it's just so limiting.
Yeah, I was going to say it's that really removes the label and removes the limitations and really opens the door for a wider
Yeah.
range of opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me about, you grew up in Philly, right? And I'm sure
Yeah.
by that time, did you have like a lot, while you were growing up, did you see a lot of murals around you? At that point, did you like, did it ever come to your mind that this is where you would head? Or your interest was there?
No, I'm Philly local, but I grew up in sort of a rural area. I guess close to an hour from Philadelphia, and I didn't go into the city a lot
As much.
growing up. It was probably for like school field trips or something. And
Okay.
I don't know if I paid attention to the murals then. I was really interested in art. It probably wasn't until I was in art school that I started paying attention to public art and, just finding a greater appreciation for murals and art in public spaces.
Oh, wow. Okay. Did you also have like being like creativity while you were growing up? Did you have an influence that you could look up to, or how were you, and like both the questions, how you were as a like as a child growing up? Did you like, were you always like a creative child, or that just evolved?
um, I was super shy and timid and probably awkward and quirky, which I think is pretty standard for a lot of creative types. Um, but yeah, I was always really interested in art, so I just remember loving art class and um, doing, recognizing that art felt really good to me versus like other subjects in school where maybe I struggled. And I did take art classes outside of school. Um, and yeah, I think, you know what, it might have honestly been, I remember my grandmother, my nanny, always telling me, "You're going to be an artist," or "She's the art."
Oh,
And so
wow.
maybe that just sort of became
Yeah.
like ingrained, in my personality, my persona. And so I just kind of went with it. And I just remember being in high school and not really knowing what else I would do, not having like other something else that was really pulling me.
Yeah.
I was just, I just knew this is what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, but I knew I wanted to
Yeah.
pursue art at some capacity.
Yeah. And like, did you have any role model at that time, just your influence, or like anyone who's creative in your own family that kind of, you know, set the ball
My
rolling for
dad's
you?
yeah, my dad's a chef.
Oh,
I
wow.
can't, I can't, I can't cook for
That is a
shit,
creative skill.
but yeah, super creative.
Yeah.
And both my sister and, I think my family is like really musical, and
Oh, wow.
we've always loved the theater. And um so I think we were just, I was brought up in a family that really nurtured creativity. And um so that probably allowed me to feel uh accepted, and that art was something I could make a reality in my life.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's go just circle back to a conversation which was about art school and you
Mhm.
venturing into the arts in the mural section.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about what happened when you actually graduated, and then how have you come this far? Because you have, like, you do a lot of work, you've done a lot of murals, gorgeous ones, and I just I'm sure it must have not been easy to kick off as a mural artist. In itself, kicking off as an artist is difficult. It's not one of the most common jobs, and I'm sure I just want to hear your journey about paving your path till here.
Mhm. So actually, when I graduated, I I was dating someone and they were still in college, and so I did the worst thing I could have done. I left the city and I moved with them. Um, and I started working at a photography studio. I had I don't know what I was thinking. I'm not a photographer. I had no experience with cameras. But I started working there just because I thought it was something creative. And I was like, I am going to continue to get my portfolio together and I'm going to think about applying to grad school. That was my plan because I think I was essentially buying time. So I thought, I'll go to grad school and then I'll figure out what to do, right? Um, I was so depressed. So I
Really?
ended up, yeah, I was so depressed. I ended up applying to grad school, having interviews, not going to grad school, and then
Oh,
moved. Yeah, I moved back to Philadelphia. Um, and I worked as a designer for an apparel company. Also
was
had
it
no
like a
graphic design. Like,
graphic designer? Okay.
yeah. It was like a sporting apparel company. So a lot of logo stuff. I basically had to teach myself how to use Photoshop and Illustrator, which was,
One of the most
yeah,
valuable skills.
yes. And that's what I used to create murals. So I really taught myself. I mean, it worked out.
Just
And
yeah.
yeah, but again, I felt like this isn't what I want to do. So I contacted the artist that I was interning with and I asked, are there any opportunities? Do you need assistance for anything? He was like, yeah. So he brought me on board and then I just started assisting with him regularly um, until I decided I wanted to create murals on my own.
Oh,
And then
wow.
here we are.
Amazing. You know, a lot of times when we see someone doing the amazing work, we always see, and again, with Instagram, everything looks glamorous, perfect, beautiful. which is not true. I mean, no matter how good our lives look online, there's always something that's happening that, and it's okay. I mean, we don't always have to share something negative or sad or something, but just I think just the whole portrayal. A lot of times we glamorize um, things in our heads because that's what we're seeing. I just wanted to
Hmm.
see behind because um, and I'm asking this question especially from a personal point of view. Let's say, um, I just before we recorded this call, so I am in a position right now where, I'm traveling between cities. Half of a week I'm here, half of a week I'm, you know, in the big city. Then I'm in a small city. My studio is here. A lot my office work, like the people I work with, and for arts to hearts and everything. And I'm someone, and I'm sure most artists are like, we love our cocoons, like we love the safety of our homes, our studios. I love small towns. I absolutely love them. I just feel like as an artist in the last 2 years, the amount of sanity I have found in myself in a smaller town is just amazing. Your job includes a lot more traveling, a lot more being outside, and I've done 2 murals so far. uh, they are hectic, physically exhausting, need so much of planning, and like just a lot overwhelming than anything else. And also, I feel that they're technically also like you need um, to have more. Um, like I can still play a lot with smaller canvases, a big painting also, but with murals and especially commissioned work, you have to be way more planned and all of that. Let's talk about let's talk about these things that goes behind into the pretty pictures and paintings that you make, the hard work it takes, the
You mean
struggles
all
that
this
come in.
stress?
Yes, all the stress, because I think we will definitely talk about the bright and beautiful that we always see, but let's talk about the hours you put in,
Hmm.
the things that you go through when you produce a beautiful image like that, or an idea that
Yeah.
comes to your mind.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes and the things that you see. Well, I mean, first of all, with the murals that I do, I'm working with clients, and so
Yeah,
you have to work on building a good relationship with your client. You have to like working with each other. So that requires a lot of patience sometimes and
oh
good
goodness.
communication skills. Yeah.
A lot of artists
um,
actually freak this, like are freaked out by this. Commissions
hmm.
really, really get on a lot of people's nerve because we want to do things our way, and then you have to oblige, and which is what a part of process of a commission is.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I am essentially a commission based artist because
Yeah,
that's yeah, my income is from clients and murals are commissioned pieces of work.
right.
So
Yeah,
yeah, for the most part, when you're working with a client, they probably have something specific they're looking for. Sometimes they'll let you have free range. It's very rare that happens. It's amazing when they trust you. And the longer you do murals and I have repeat clients too, and so
yeah,
they become familiar with your work, and so you know that they're hiring you because of your
yeah,
style and because they like your work, and that's a great feeling. Sometimes people want something, really specific that you're not interested in, and it's your decision to either be like, okay, I could do this
dude.
job. I need the money, right? I'll
Yeah,
do it. I can compromise or make the decision to pass it up.
yeah,
Um, and I try to stick with projects that speak to me and I feel are creative and challenging in a positive way, things that light me up and
yeah,
feel exciting.
yeah,
Um, but it's also a job, so sometimes you just
yeah.
take
You have
what,
to.
right?
Absolutely. And I
Um,
think that you said such an important point because we all come into this, a lot of people who enter into the arts, young artists, a lot of us also are so many times like we have this picture perfect that this is going to happen for us. But you give some, you take some, you do projects, you deem to lead to your dream projects, you need to keep going, you
Hmm.
need to keep fine tuning your skills, keep paying your bills, keep growing, and have even also have financial safety so that you can keep experimenting more. And those clients will also come if you're intentional about it. But there's nothing wrong with doing something because you
Right.
can do it. It may not light you up as much something else, but you're still going to give you 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, and then, going along with clients, you you're working on a design with them, so there can be a lot of back and forth. Sometimes you might present a design that you feel really strongly about and you love, and they might hate it, or they might have and that's happened, or they might have restrictions or very specific limitations to, maybe they have like branding colors you need to incorporate, and so you have to find
Yeah,
that balance where you can speak your client's language, but you can also honor your vision and like
incorporate
what
your.
makes you feel good. Yeah. um
Yeah,
and then after that, like you said, it's a lot of strategic planning. Math is not a strong skill of mine, but I found that I feel like I have to be a math wizard all the time. Yeah, it's a lot of, and every project is different. So there's always problem solving and things that go wrong. Um, yeah, it can be really stressful. Uh, Deadlines happen fast. It can be seasonal type work, so you have a million projects at once, and you feel like
and then
you can't even come up for air. Yeah, that's what
yeah.
happened to me from this summer into the holidays. I was
Oh wow.
so busy.
Yeah,
I mean, I was working
the
like
good busy.
12, 15. Yeah, yeah. It was good busy, but I don't know how I did it.
Exhaust.
I mean, I was working
Yeah,
consistent like 12 to 15-hour days, and yeah, I took a month off because I was just so
you
wiped.
definitely would like deserve that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, and that's another thing about being an artist or creator, or like in these creative industries, I feel like they work so differently than other profiles. Um, I remember I was very young. I was still in college, and I had this. So in fashion, I was doing fashion. So India has this Amazon Fashion Week, which is like the top fashion week in India, and I was with this. I was interning with this crew who was, who were create like who were interviewing. Like they have a Netflix show today. Just that I'm so proud of. But they were covering creative Indians, and things like that happened. And I remember like a team. These were three creative entrepreneurs. Like they were basically stage choreographers. So they were
Hmm.
choreographing fashion shows and thematically like putting shows together, having like the fine arts, the music, and then the whole conceptualizing and execution. And I was taking that interview with them. I was assisting them in that interview. I got to be a part of an interview. And I remember them, one of the creator sharing, like their work is seasonal. Like they work 6 months and they work like then they don't work for 6 months at all.
Hmm.
And at that point it felt so unusual to me because we're i n- I was not really exposed to a lot of like creative profiles, and you know this and what we know are just so cliche and so many things people don't talk about. But even in my own career now, I notice that there are seasons, like we a lot of creative projects, and there is a season for something and there's a season for something. And that's how we work. I mean, that's how it's not a 9 to 5 regular job that you have to get up
Hmm.
every morning and go. And it's such an uncomfortable fact. I know I have caught myself so many times, even when I'm, if I have a lot of work, I will be overexhausted and like, all of that. And I'm great and happy. But the moment that things are quiet, I want that rest. But I think this whole external validation point, like, I'm not doing something. Am I not
Hmm.
doing enough? Or like, what if people forget about me? Or what if something's not going to come up? Like,
Yeah, productivity guilt.
absolutely. So
Um,
how is, yeah,
yeah.
say, go ahead.
Oh no, what were you gonna say?
No, no, just continue what you had.
Oh no, I mean, I definitely relate to that. And on that same note, you're talking about seasonal work and having sort of uh, a season for everything. I know because of the history of my work, I've been doing this a while, that there are periods that I will be really busy, followed by dead silence,
Yeah,
followed by, things will start to pick up. And that is the flow that I have found every year consistently. But once I'm finished those intense busy periods and it goes dead silent, I always start to freak out a little. And
I
I,
love hearing. Not that I love it,
yeah,
but I love your honesty about it.
yeah, it's like, oh my God, am I going to have work? What's the next job? And then I don't feel that's the time when I should be resting
Yeah,
or travel, but I feel sometimes you feel like guilty for doing that, even though it's like
yeah,
I earned this because you're working for
yeah,
yourself, you're an entrepreneur, and there is that hustle mentality that you're not a regular salary and like you said, wanting to stay. I think you said something about staying relevant and like sharing your work and stuff. So yeah, there is a lot of that stress also. But I mean, I mentioned I took off the month of January. So I think I'm trying to lean into those slow periods a little more and really accept and embrace the flow and just trust that work will come and it, it, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and building my career and, it'll all work out.
amazing.
But it's
I
a
love.
process and
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we all, it's just, of course, because when you have enough experience of in terms of yours, you recognize patterns, and then I think your logic supports your, fears or like this whole anxiousness. And I think also the entire part is, I think what really also plays a role is that I don't know what your immediate environment is, but my immediate environment, a lot of time either I'm in the studio or I'm working. I can work from any location for that matter,
Mhm.
because a lot of my work, my podcast, Arts to Hearts, everything is digital. The people I work with, I don't have to meet them regularly, and my way of working is just so different that at some point when I see things around me and I feel like, even though I'm working as hard, or like, I don't even know if it's about working as hard, but just working differently, I just have to tell myself again and again that, this is the choice I made. This is what I love. This is who I am. And just, just because my things don't look like a regular 9 to 5 business job or whatever, it doesn't, like, there's, I don't know, there's something that makes you feel, sometimes it makes me question. I don't know what, I can't really
Like
pinpoint
feel
what that is.
inadequate.
Yeah,
We've been
probably.
so conditioned. Yeah, we've been so conditioned to think that that is the standard, the norm, the conventional, right? This nine
Yeah.
to five. But yeah, everyone works differently. I mean, yeah, I think you have to learn acceptance and just feel really. Sometimes if I'm fighting that, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to remember to be grateful. I'm really grateful that I'm not
Yeah,
working
that
for someone. I'm working
yes,
for myself, and I'm able to make art and make a
yes,
living off of making,
yes,
so yeah, that.
absolutely. Let's talk about the subject that I shared, like the cocoon, the studio. I know a lot of your murals. Do you want to also talk about how your process is? And I know a lot of your murals you also make in your own studio. But also let's talk about things that the physical, the to and fro, and how does that affect your work?
Um, so actually, yeah, my mural process is really different. So if you're not familiar with my Instagram, because Instagram essentially is like my behind the scenes, so you can see how the things are made. Um, so when you think about murals, you imagine someone just being outside, wherever you're outside, inside, painting directly on the wall, right?
Yeah.
I actually work indoors uh, on a material called parachute cloth, which it's not parachute. It's I don't know why they call it that. It's it's kind of like a polyester synthetic material. It's similar to like really thin canvas, I guess.
Oh wow.
Super lightweight, and what you do is you prime it, and then it kind of has the texture of like a flexible paper. So
Okay.
I work on my mural design, and then I break it down. And this is where this all the strategic planning comes into play, because since I'm not working directly on the wall and creating,
Yeah.
one large image, I'm essentially working in sections. So you kind of paint in small sections of the parachute cloth. Like I'll break it up to 5 feet by 5 feet, for example, and I'm painting sections of the mural that will later come together sort of like a puzzle.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and then, yeah, so I can work on a few sheets at a time in my studio. And because I'm working on sheets, that's why it's great that I can, travel with those sheets, and I can get the
Yeah.
community involved. So people aren't on scaffolding or ladders trying to paint a wall. It's like, I can bring that mural into a prison. I can bring that mural into a school.
Yeah.
I can have block parties and have people interact with the murals and have the cloth set up on tables, and people are able to paint and interact. So that's where, like, it's great to have that process for community engagement purposes. And then once
Absolutely.
the mural is painted, it basically just goes up on the wall, sort of like wallpaper, but
So how
permanent.
do you stick
So
that? I mean, like, how does
it's
it even go on the wall?
yeah,
Like, do you glue it?
it is glue. It's a heavy duty glue medium. Um,
Oh,
it's it's called Nova Gel, or Golden makes one. So either of those companies, and you essentially glue it up on the wall, and you squeegee out all the air bubbles, and you match them up like a
oh
puzzle.
goodness.
Yeah, and it's because it's so thin, it'll take on any shape or texture. So if I put it on a brick wall, you can see the shape of the brick. So it looks like it was
Oh,
painted right on the
wow.
brick. Yeah, or if it's stucco and there's little pieces of rough stucco, you'll see the stucco. So it's really amazing, and um, I love it because I have more control. I can work anywhere with it. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not stuck with, oh, it was too cold today, or it was a wash, it was raining all day. I can work anytime. I can travel with it. I find I have better control because I
Yeah.
can be in my controlled studio environment working, and instead of, painting on a lift all day and having to like yell down to someone who's like distracting me, right? So I can really focus on what I'm doing.
And you get to have Tula with you.
And I get to have Tula with me, who is the
Yeah.
greatest studio assistant of all time. Maybe the
Huh,
exception of your dogs.
oh, they don't go to the studio.
They don't go to
Yeah,
your
the one.
studio though.
So while I was living away pre-pandemic, one of my dogs, like she was living off the streets, and then I adopted her. So for the first 2 years, she lived with me, and she really didn't care to be in my studio. I mean, I had like a home studio, and I was working with like a artist community studio space. So I would spend a lot more time because she was home. So I would spend a lot more time in the studio, but she wasn't really concerned. I got my other two for a photo shoot recently, the studio, and they made a mess. Like I love the pictures, like they had those crowns and like all of that, but they're just such home buddies that they don't want to go anywhere. And if they go,
Yeah,
my this youngest dog is just so naughty that it's next to impossible to take her anywhere. Like, so they're homebound, and we have
yeah,
ample of space here, so they get to like chase monkeys. And like in India, it's like you get monkeys, and then you can see like, you can see cows on the street, and like, so they have like a part that they have other beings that keep entertaining them, so they prefer that
yeah.
more than any studio. But I love Tula's body moves. Like, she's so good with yoga.
She is. Although this morning I took a yoga class with my sister, and my sister has a dog too, and they were just wild the whole time. And I think Tula, she's gotten used to me doing yoga when I'm by myself. Um, Sometimes she'll try to do it or jump on me, and she is my size or bigger than me, so it can it can be a lot.
Does she sleep with you?
She does, yeah.
They like you.
She's
You'll have like a whole person sleeping next to you.
Yeah, I mean, she has a million beds, but she sleeps in my bed.
That's the advantage of being Tula.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. My last question before we get into the rapid fire. Why murals? I just feel like we all have this inner, like something that really clicks. And even though we can do a million more mediums and we keep experimenting and everything, but I've seen like we all come back to something that our heart truly falls for. It's like this calling that we feel. What is that with murals for you? If that is, I'm sure. I mean, I'm assuming. Why murals? I mean, you could paint canvases or like all of that,
Yeah.
um, but why murals?
You know what? I think it's I think it's the accessibility in communities, and I I have oh my gosh, I just moved, and so I have so much of my work on canvas right now, and it's right now for me it's just hanging out here and in storage versus being seen and appreciated and feeling
Yeah,
like you're creating work that's making a difference in a space. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I love that there is a lot of interaction and there can be, conversations in public about your work or like what that work means to someone or the space. And yeah, I really do love working with the community and feeling like um, you're making a difference or um, yeah, I
I
guess
love
that
that.
is my answer.
I missed one question. I want to ask one more,
Oh yeah.
which is murals are also physically exhausting, and it's also more than a one person. Sometimes, like you may need more than one hand of your own.
Hmm.
How do you manage that then? Like the whole installation, and maybe if something you need to do live, or like, how do you pull those people together for different projects?
Yeah. I'm always hiring. people to work on projects with me, especially if it's a small mural, I can paint it myself and install it. But for the most part, like I said, I'm working on sheets that are around 5 feet by 5 feet, and then I put them together. That's big, you know. So,
Yeah, that's
and
huge.
it's yeah, it's and can you know, you might be on ladders, you might be on a lift or scaffolding, so you want to have an extra hand there. So I'll always hire install assistants, and it's usually people that I trust, and you know, you can't really be afraid of heights if you're going to be
Yeah,
up high.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, but
I would
I
like a
really
good
like
assistant.
I really like working with people that, you know, you just it's a really intimate experience working on art together, and so you have to
Yeah,
have good chemistry, and it has to feel like a good vibe, right? You have to like who you're working with. So even if someone is so skilled and talented, if they're difficult to talk to and I can't feel comfortable around them, or others don't feel comfortable, I mean, you have to really just find good people that you enjoy working with, that keep things
yeah,
fun. And because, yeah, you said it can be
yeah,
exhausting, and so you got to laugh, and you have to
yeah.
um, like who you're working with.
Amazing, lovely. I can't believe it's already been this long. I I have so many more
Oh,
questions,
wow.
but
Yeah.
I know maybe we'll have to do this another time again, and I would love that. But before I let you go, I have to quickly get you in the rapid fire. So are you ready?
I'm nervous, but yeah.
Oh, you'll kill it. Let's just do it. Okay, here we go. One thing you want to convey through your work in the arts.
One thing I want to convey, can you say that again?
One thing you want to convey through your work in the arts. One thing you want to convey.
Oh, God. This is not rapid fire.
Anything that there's
Inspiration.
no right or wrong. It's
Inspiration.
just you. Okay, that
Yeah.
that's so on point. So on point. Okay, what's that one word that describes you the best?
The first word that comes to mind is awkward.
If you could have a studio anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Hmm. I'll say Costa Rica.
Oh wow! Really?
Beach life.
Chula running over the
Yeah.
beach and the
Bouncing
waves,
in the
and then you're
waves.
painting. Yeah, and then you're painting, sitting like across like a window and seeing like her jumping around. Wow! Please call me. I'll get the calls. We'll have like a dog party and like a painting party and like all kinds of party.
All the parties.
Your biggest source of inspiration.
Um, my friends.
Oh, lovely. Who's your favorite woman artist from any point of time?
Jenny Seville.
Okay. Who's your go-to person when you are in trouble or in need of advice?
My dad.
Oh, I know you had a lovely trip with him, so shout out for
Yes.
him. Um, okay, this can be a little more than a rapid, like one word. Can you describe like one moment? I'm sure there must have been many, but one moment that made you feel really grateful as an artist, like, to be grateful for what you're doing and the love for your work. Or like living a creative
Um,
life.
yeah, I was working in I was working with women at a methadone clinic, and we were creating a mural, and they were only supposed to come, I think, once a week for group, but they started coming every day. And
Oh,
yeah, we just had such a great time, and it was such a lovely bond, and it just felt so good. It made me love what I was doing. And then after that, I helped them create their own mural, and I just felt
oh wow.
so moved by that.
That's so
Yeah.
so amazing. Okay, what advice would you give to younger Ali today?
Younger Allie. Um,
Quick.
Trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Yes.
Trust yourself.
Yes, that's it. Amazing. Okay.
Quick.
Shout out to an artist. I should have done that earlier also.
Yeah. You need like a
Shout out.
bell or a timer.
I'm going to do this next now. And
Yeah.
then I'll have you back. And then I'll instead of cake, I'm going to just keep ringing the bell. But by the way, in the edit, we actually add a timer. So
Do
when you will
you?
listen to this, yeah, it sounds so fun. And like you'll see the tick 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 tick. It's so fun.
That's awesome.
Okay. Shout out to an artist who you are currently loving on social media.
Ugh, there's too many. Um, uh, Too many. I mean, I'm loving the work that Kat is doing right now, Kat Popova.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, and she brought us together, right? So,
Yes,
um,
she has so
my
many
friend,
things
yeah,
to credit for.
my friend Kate Ryan,
Okay.
she's doing really fun work. Yeah,
Okay.
so many
Okay.
good people.
Yes. I specifically love this question because like with social media there's so much that we see every day and there's pro and con everything, which is the amount of work and the great like just these beautiful inspiring work and people that we meet. It's just I just don't want to let that go. Okay, my last question as a woman creative entrepreneur, what's that one advice you will like to give to anyone who's listening to this episode who aspires to be where you are today?
The same thing that I would have told my younger self, to trust myself. And, it can feel really difficult. And, you mentioned comparing yourself on social media and whatnot. And you can use that to a degree to push yourself forward. But, yeah, comparing yourself is really awful sometimes. And just trust in your abilities. Try to boost up your confidence and just have faith that you can do it. And you have to really push and want it, and work hard.
Oh wow, love that. Amazing. I This has gone so quickly. So
I
quickly.
know. I know.
Oh my God, Ali, I'm so grateful we were able to do this. I know
Me
how
too.
tired, exhausted you've been, but I so appreciate you actually doing this. And you know how much that means to me. I got to see Tula, and I'm going to still see her once. I'm going to bid her goodbye and just adore her for a few seconds more. But I just want to say a big thank you. But before that, do you have anything that's coming up that you want to share? And where can people find you on social media website? And if you have something like if you have anything that you want to share where people can support you by buying your work, commissions, and everything else.
Sure. I have a few projects that, one really amazing project that I worked on with Morris Home in Philadelphia, which is a trans and non-binary, essentially like recovery home. And they just do such amazing work. And so I worked with the group there to create a mural, and that was worked on. It probably took about 2 years to work on this
Oh
project,
my
and I haven't
goodness.
the mural's finished, but I haven't posted anything about it yet, and it'll be installed in the spring, or
Oh my
May, I
God.
think. So I'm really excited about that. Um, and so that's something that's kind of coming that I'm really proud of. And you can see it, or other work that I'm doing, on my Instagram account at Ali M. Williams. That's ALIM Williams.
Perfect.
That's also
Anyone
my
who's
website.
listening, yes, I will actually link all of these, the artists Ali mentioned and Ali's work, Tula's murals, picture of Tula and Ali,
Cool.
all of that in the show notes. So you have to, for Tula's, on Tula's command actually, go check them out. Go check Ali's website, her work, and make sure that you support her. Your support can just, I think we all just appreciate when people look at our work, share their views, and I think a like and a comment goes so far for creators. We, like you said, it's so much more about when people see our work and resonate or connect with it.
Hmm.
That means so much. So I highly, highly recommend you doing that. And I just want to say a big thank you, Ali, for coming here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I had so much fun chatting with you. Thanks
Same
for
here.
having me.
Absolutely, I can't wait to have you again soon. And I will see you soon.
All right. I'll see you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can find all the details and links mentioned in the show notes of this episode available on www.arts2heartsproject.com. And if you like this episode, please don't forget to tag us in your stories and leave us a review here on iTunes or any of your favorite platforms. It really helps us to keep the show going. Thank you so much. I'm sending you lots of love, and I can't wait to be back here soon again. Bye.